Well, hello everybody. It is Friday. We're live, and that means it's time for Feisty Friday at 5 with Greta B. We promised last week, Greta did at least, that we would give some really helpful hints on how to get in shape. You know, and in fact, it all may tie into fitness as well as sex and a lot of other things in life. It's maybe another bumpy ride. Feisty Friday night ride with Greta B in a moment, and this is Andy. I'm live in the Boomer TV studio, and October has been a fantastic month of full season of these shows, and invite you to get familiar with the awesome Boomer platform and to launch you into a full and meaningful life after 55. And now, Feisty Friday at 5 with Greta B. And Greta asks, what does the pandemic have to do with sex?
Yeah, well, I know what it has to do with sex. Hi, Andy. Hi, everybody. Hi. I'm remote today, so my setup, I'm going to get my usual people who are perfectionists and nitpickers, and I appreciate that. They're going to be like, why were you looking down? Your eyes were... Okay, so this is how it's set up today, okay? Because I'm on the road, and I've jerry-rigged it, and get over it. So I'm going to be looking down a little bit. It's not the perfect spot. This is how we deal with things. We roll. We're boomers. We know how to adjust. We know how to adapt. So the pandemic and sex. Well, we talked at length after I had hosted my RadFest Human Sexuality panel about COVID and the effects of COVID on sex. Either people just refraining completely or holding up together and having at it like little mice. By the way, if you have a problem with me saying words like penis, vagina, vajayjay, a guy's junk, stuff like that, you probably better tune out right now, because we're going to talk about things like that probably pretty much all the time. So just giving you a heads up. Here's the thing, and here's what I love. So I announced last week that I'm going to be talking about some of the top core foundational secrets to getting and staying in shape, gleaned over decades of my fitness camps, my adult sleepaway camps, which I invented in 1990. And what I found is stuff that's just tried and true. I mean, we started in 1990. This stuff works. I have people to this day sending me letters saying, Greta, remember that tip you told me? It's saving me. Oh, thank God. So we're going to talk about stuff that really works. Listen, if you want to go on Instagram and look at somebody who touched a barbell and suddenly declared that they're like a fitness expert, have at it. Go watch their videos. I'm a boomer like you. We got our vantage point. We're looking at things from the perspective of time. We got that on our side. So if you want to go and look at an infomercial, that's good. I've been doing this fitness stuff since I had my first fitness job, we'll call it, I hate to say the year, I'm going to say the year, in the summer of 1970. I worked as a fitness instructor at a place called the House of Venus Apollo in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I then went to New York to go to acting school, and I paid part of my way through acting school by teaching at the Jack LaLanne fitness studio there. We called them exercise classes then. The term aerobics had not yet been invented. So I've been doing this stuff for a while, and I look pretty okay. And I don't just work out all the time, and I don't eat one carrot stick and one celery thing a day. I enjoy my life. So I'm going to say that the tips I'm going to give you work. So we're going to get to that. But let me tie it back into this whole idea of pandemic and sex and weight loss. It's really funny because the minute you announce a topic, i.e. fitness, getting in shape, all of a sudden, everyone who shows up, it's actually called reticular activation. We'll talk about that at another time. It's like when you decide to buy a Volkswagen, suddenly all you see are Volkswagens. That's called reticular activation, just FYI. Little incidental thoughts that are just so fun to know about. Maybe not. Anyway, so all of a sudden, everybody I've run into this week is saying things like, I put on 15 pounds during COVID. I'm so gross. I don't want to get naked. I didn't want my husband to see me. Just spoke to a gentleman, a great guy. I said, you've lost some weight. He's lost 25 pounds. He lost the weight because he decided that the comorbidity factor for COVID, i.e. the obesity aspect, was scary to him. And if he could control that one factor, then he wanted to lose weight. So whether you put on some LBs and you don't want to get naked with your husband or anybody else, single people, anybody else, If you're married, I don't want you doing it with anybody else, or do what you want. Or the health aspect. So here we have it, the pandemic, sex, and getting in shape. It all ties together. You can get rid of that one comorbidity factor. You can deal with like the pounds you put on during COVID or not. But more importantly, we're going to hone in on some things that are real. I'm not talking about signing up for some expensive, fluffy retreat somewhere for 15 grand in the Swiss Alps. I'm talking about stuff you can do right now. But let's talk turkey about what it's going to take to have it work for you. I'm going to have a little sip of my Rombauer Chardonnay. Hang on. You guys should all, on Fridays at 5, we should all have, if we're people who have a cocktail once in a while, we should be having it. So here we go. Here's to you. Where the deciding factor is your commitment. So let's talk about creating a goal that makes it not such torture for you. Something that lights you up. Something that, whether it's a dress that you could finally fit into, a guy you can finally peel down for, a girl you can, whatever. So let's think about creating the thing that will make you do it. The desire for this wonderful thing is greater than the discomfort of not being able to just stuff your face nonstop or not move around a little bit. So that's what it all boils down to. And we all know that. And I can't say for you what that goal would be. Now, it might be health. It might be, among other things, as you get older, getting fatter isn't a good thing. And certainly in this era where it's something that contributes to the degree to which the COVID affects you, the sea monster. So this is what you need to do. This is your homework. You need to come up with what that goal is. And only you will know what that is. The next thing is, how do you get through the periods where you're just hungry, you just want to cheat, you just don't want to stick with it anymore? And I'm reminded of a quote that I heard or read some time ago. It was Herbie Hancock, and he was talking about the concept of existentialism. And he said existentialism really became real for me out of my high school prom. And I hope I'm quoting him right. I'm quoting whatever article I read or whatever, but it's a really cool story. He said, so I didn't have a date to the high school prom. And as the prom is approaching and I'm thinking, oh, all the other kids are having fun and they're popular and I'm not going to be there. But suddenly he said, I realized the only real struggle part of this would be the actual night, the 5 to 9 p.m. period or whatever it was that the prom where it was actually taking place. If I could find a way to get through that piece of it, be very existential about it, get through that, then at the other end of that, for everybody else, it's just a memory anyway. I don't have the memory. I could make something up, but all I'm missing now is the memory. They've all lived through it. It's gone. So I thought that was really a good one. Kind of ties into the 12-step programs, one day at a time sort of concept, getting through a piece of something. So I'm just going to say, once you have your goal in place, and then you can find a way to wrap your mind around the times that are tough when you're hungry or you just want to eat a little later at night than you should be doing. That's for you. How do you get through that? Do you read a book? Do you go to Netflix and watch Outlander like I do? I'm so hooked on that show right now. Oh God. So figure out what's going to do that for you. So those are two key parts of the puzzle. And that's really your work, because once I outline for you a couple of basic principles, the rest of it is really going to be, with those two in place, the rest of it's really pretty simple. And these are things, and again, this is a conversation I had with someone here during this week between my commitment to talking about this and now, the reticular activation of everything sort of showing up around this. Once you have all of that stuff in place, then you can move into making this work for you. Okay. So let's get to one hardcore tip. I'm going to give you a really juicy one. I'm going to give you a big word. It's really fun to throw them around at cocktail parties. This is gluconeogenesis. And all you need to know about this is it is a fat burning window that you want to take advantage of. And here's what it means. When you wake up in the morning, your liver is in go mode. It wants to burn some fat. So if you can just get through the first part of the morning and maybe go out and do a little easy, moderate, not a heavy, a moderate, a walk, something. Again, don't fly off to Switzerland to some 25 grand a week spa. Don't worry because you can't afford a trainer that's a fortune. Just wake up and take a little walk. Do a half hour of mild exercise on an empty stomach. Good news is you can even have black coffee or tea, just no sugar or anything added to it. So if you can get up and do that, taking advantage of this state that your liver is in, gluconeogenesis, to really ramp up the fat burning for the whole day, you set yourself ahead of the game. So that's a tip. That's like a really amazing tip. And somebody said to me today, they said, oh, you must, the secret to longevity and staying in shape and blah, blah, you must just eat carrots and work out all day long. No. What I do all day long is make smart choices, smart disciplined choices that aren't hard. And that's one of them. So you get up and you take a little walk. You do a little something on the floor or in the house, little leg lifts or something. Do it for half an hour. And then you can have your breakfast and go on into your day, having stepped up your metabolism and moving forward with the wind behind your back. Okay, so that's one. Number two, key. I'm not a water drinker. I got my wine. I'm not a water drinker. I don't like it. I have a sister who loves water. She's always just, oh, give me water. I want water. I'm like, I almost hold my nose and take it like medicine. But what I do know is if I drink at least 64 ounces of water during the day, it helps facilitate fat loss. And part of this is because you're keeping the kidneys working properly. And if the kidneys are working, they can keep doing, they're hydrated. They can do what they're set up to do. They don't have to go to the liver, Mr. Liver next door, and go, I need a little help here. Stop fat burning. Help me. No, we want liver fat burning. We want kidneys doing what they do. Doesn't matter how it all works. What does matter is that it does work. So I suggest the one piece of equipment that you buy for this program I'm telling you about is a gallon jug. Go get a gallon of milk and go through it, or a gallon or whatever. Keep the jug. Fill the jug with water every morning. Wake up in the morning, have a big amount of it. Have 12 to 20 ounces before you go take your little gluconeogenesis walk. But finish that jug of water by the end of the day. That alone will help you to lose fat for so many reasons, which I'm not going to go into. Just trust me and know that works. I'm looking here, Andy. I've got my little handy sort of semi-silent timer here.
You're doing good.
We don't need to take a break yet?
We can definitely do that. We do have a couple of questions here.
Well, let me give them one. Let me throw out one more little pearl of wisdom here. Okay. So you're getting up in the morning and going on an empty stomach for a light workout. You're drinking water all day long. You're not eating late at night. And you've heard this, you know this. And if you are eating late at night, you're not eating sugar and carbs and crap. Maybe you're having a boiled egg or a boiled egg white or a piece of chicken, whatever. You're not at 10 o'clock raiding the fridge and then going to watch Outlander with me. Because I'm loving that show. So those are three things you can do. And when we come back from some questions, I'm going to give you the killer, the kick the butt portion of this. But those three, and you guys can all do that. The only thing that stands between you and that and your result, number one, your goal isn't so important to you that it outweighs the deprivation. And number two, you haven't gotten through that existential part where it's a little bit tough and you had to figure a way to get past the hunger pangs and the wanting to cheat. Who wants to know what, Andy?
Well, let me tell you. This one is from Irina, and she says she's turning 74, and a new guy has come into her life. She just wanted to tell you how excited she is, but Irina says she is a little bit nervous.
Okay, do we know why? Because there are so many reasons to be nervous. Do we have any clue what those nerves are about?
Well, I would look into, I'm probably looking into it maybe too much, but the intimacy thing.
Okay. So let's talk about maybe I'm going to talk about three top of mind reasons she might be a little nervous. One is maybe she's thinking she's going to be 75,
74.
74. She might be thinking of Irina at 30 and what Irina looked like buck naked at 30, and it was probably pretty darn good. And it's probably pretty darn good now too, but it's not the same. So one of the things might be overcoming that thing about your sense of what you looked like, and now at 74 it's a different picture. So I'm going to address that by saying go out and get some sexy lingerie and get some candles that make the lighting in the room really fabulous, and just get over it. So there's that. I'm going to say number two, and you're right, the intimacy thing is certainly huge for everybody, and that's just a question of you've got to walk before you run. So I would say to Irina, just start out slowly, feel confident about yourself, however you can make that happen, and just start out slowly, take those baby steps, and you might be surprised, especially if some chemistry kicks in, you might be surprised at how fast that hesitancy and that nervousness goes away, because we all know that with the right chemistry, there's no such thing as nervousness. It's just like, ooh, woohoo. So baby steps and sexy candle lighting and lingerie and Jello shots.
Patty here is sort of like that. She says she feels really self-conscious about her weight and knows her husband is getting frustrated with her because she keeps making excuses about not having any sex or intimacy. She just thinks that she should get over it, being so self-conscious and just try to enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. And what's her name again?
Her name is Patty.
Patty. Keep in mind, we're women. We are judgmental. We look at each other and nitpick every little thing. Men aren't like that. When you're getting naked, a guy isn't thinking, oh, she's got a few extra pounds around. A guy is thinking, I've got her naked. Even your husband, he's thinking, I got her naked again. They're not thinking the way we think. So I'm going to say it's a two-part thing for Patty. I'm going to say jump in and just know that your husband is going to be so glad that you're naked and excited and hot for him that he's not going to be nitpicking. But number two, concurrent with that, go on my program and lose 8 to 10 pounds and see if that doesn't get everybody's engine going a little bit. So I'm going to say for Patty, it's a two-pronged attack.
Well, great advice, Greta B. What's up for next week, and what are you up to?
Oh boy, I'll tell you what I'm up to. I am up to, as are most of us, the reinvention of oneself in a pandemic world. Like, I'm a performer, I'm an entertainer, I'm a spokesperson, I'm a moderator. How do you transition happily, not woefully, not going out? It used to be so fun flying to Vegas and doing a gig and going to LA and shooting a thing and that's not. No, it's like, how do you go, hey, this is cool. Like right now, I have my jammy bottoms on with my silk blouse. That's pretty cool. And I'm sitting here, I didn't have to go anywhere to do what I'm doing. So I'm figuring out that whole transition thing. That's a big part of what I'm doing with my life right now, Andy. I'm working on all my creative stuff. But part of that is going, okay, I need to be happy with how this looks now. I don't have a makeup artist doing my makeup and my hair. I'm doing it at home in my bathrobe and then going on Zoom. So that's a big part of what I'm doing. I suspect that that's what a lot of us are doing. So that's taking a big part. And I'm on a real get super healthy. Here's what I'm doing. And I suggest this for everybody out there, Andy. So I'm glad you asked. I'm doing this is a couple of months that I've set aside to do all those things that we put off. Mammogram, colonoscopy, did a sleep apnea test, did all those things that you have to do that you put off. I have waded through and done all of them. They are off the checklist. So I'm using this time to productively monitor my health and get my health and my supplementation and all that stuff, really hormone adjustment, all that really, really dialed in. I'm dialing in, man. I got time to do it now. We don't always have the luxury of that time.
Listen, same time, same place next week?
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you what we're going to be talking about, because as you know, we'll be getting pretty close to Halloween by then, precariously close to Halloween. And then after that are the holidays. So I'm going to be addressing a very specific segment of the population out there. And that is how do you stay happy over the holidays? Because the holidays are a huge time for, again, we're going to go back to weight gain. And we talked about that a little bit last week, but it's depression, it's feelings of separation. If you don't have kids, I don't have kids. Everybody's talking about, oh, my kids, so how do you get through the holidays, whether you have kids, you don't, family, not talking to your family, not talking to your family? How do you ease into the holidays happily as a boomer with all of your wisdom?
Well, good to know. Good to know. And thank you, as always, Greta B. And I'm sure everybody learned a lot, and I sure did. So thank you very much.
Thank you. See you guys next week.
Thank you for watching Greta B. Feisty Friday at 5 with Greta B. We'll be back here same day, same time. And you can find out more on Facebook, YouTube, and Boomer Boomer. And if you like this, like us on Facebook and follow us, and get to know